And for more on the scandal and its impact, where it might go, I spoke earlier today with Alfred Doblin, editorial page editor at The Record. Alfred, first of all, I'd be remiss if I didn't give props to everybody at the Bergen Record for their role in investigating this story and getting those emails out. Kudos to you and everybody behind you.
Well, yeah, thank you. But it's really very much to the people behind me. You know, I just have the opinions. They actually do the digging and the hard work. So it's the assignment side that's really done an amazing job.
Let's get right to it. Governor Christie says he didn't order the lane closure and that he didn't hear about the lane closure beforehand. You in your column said you believe him, or at least you want to believe him. I'm curious why.
Well, certainly you want to believe people tell you the truth. So, I mean, I don't think there would be anyone that says, you know, I want to believe that the governor is lying. I think what the governor said yesterday was so strong in his mea culpas that it's very hard to believe that he was lying. I mean, if he was lying or being less than truthful yesterday, I mean, his career is just ended. Forget about, you know, his career wanting maybe to be the president of the United States. I mean, he wouldn't survive as the governor of this state. If there is something out there that we have yet to find out that directly links him to those closures, you know, that's a game ender for Chris Christie. So I will be surprised if such a thing were to happen, but I can't rule that out as a possibility. Anything is possible.
Your fellow columnist of The Record, Charlie Style, dedicated his column to the question of timing and the intensity with which the governor was asking those questions. Certainly, he said, didn't appear as though he was searching for answers yesterday or this week or December or September when this thing first happened. Is there a price for the governor to pay for sort of appearing to turn his back on pursuing that out of what some would say is political convenience?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, and I think he's starting to pay that price, and I think it's going to be a very hefty price tag. I think this story is not going away now. I mean, there's going to be a federal investigation. I mean, the U.S. attorney is looking into it. So I think the best scenario for the governor would be that the damage in terms of who was involved has been contained, and he remained totally out of the loop. That would make him look at as being either too distant or too trusting, or wanting to create an environment of some kind of plausible deniability if something horrible were to happen. None of that exactly is going to be a selling point for why one should be the president of the United States. So that's the good scenario. The bad scenario is that he actually knew about it at some point and did nothing. So he's got a lot of work to do to reclaim his credibility first in the state of New Jersey and then his credibility nationally. It can be done. It's not, but it's going to.
Well, worst case scenario, as you mentioned, would be an email or a text message that came from him indicating that he knew what was happening. But what if one of his staffers, let's say his former chief of staff, then turns on him and says, yeah, he did know, or there are additional examples of payback, political payback that come in across the state. What do you think, beyond a smoking gun document, is the real concern for the Christie administration right now?
Well, I think a smoking gun document is a certainly big concern, or even something that just throws more confusion and a cloud, like if somebody's mentioned in an email and you can't quite figure out what their connection, what their connection is. So I think we're not past that. You know, I mean, I think there's still that danger that there's something out there that will just leave a cloud of doubt, this level of suspicion that will just hang over him. I think it's unlikely that someone of the level of Bill Stepien would throw the governor under the bus. That would just be my guess of just knowing what their former relationship was like. But if you would have asked me on Tuesday, did I think Bill Stepien was involved, I would have said no. And if you actually look at the chronology, on Tuesday, Governor Christie put Bill Stepien's name out to be the head of the state GOP. So it seems kind of hard to think that he knew that Stepien. You know, you could either argue he didn't know Stepien was involved, so he wouldn't have put himself that far out, or if he knew, he didn't think there's anyone else would know. I would tend to go more with the first theory, though, that at least on Tuesday he did not believe Bill Stepien had anything to do with anything that was going to embarrass him.
Finally, Alfred, let's put 2016 aside for now. It's still a long ways away. We're still early on in all of that process and in finding out what's going on with the governor. But the governor has been able to operate with the legislature in New Jersey because of his popularity, which has been a force working against anybody who would oppose him, and also because of the force of his personality. What's the impact on his governing in the state of New Jersey as a result of this scandal? How much more difficult is it going to make him for him to get his agenda across and get things done in Trenton?
Well, you know, his agenda has been accomplished really through relationships with very few people. I mean, whatever his relationship has been with George Norcross, who's a powerful Democrat in South Jersey, and Senate President Steve Sweeney, who's aligned with him. I mean, that's been really why a lot of stuff has gotten done. Not so much that he's, you know, done this kumbaya moment with all the Democrats of New Jersey. He's been very smart with the people that he's dealt with. While he's still the governor of New Jersey, his signature is still needed to pass, to have legislation become law. So, you know, he has power because he's the governor. He's about to be sworn in a second term. So he's not, you know, he's tarnished and he's slowed down, but he's still the governor of New Jersey. And unless something directly links him, I wouldn't rule out his ability to get certain things done. I do think his pick for Attorney General is going to have a hard time. I think, you know, other things on that nature which are more political in terms of nominations are going to face tougher scrutiny within the legislature. But you'll find that there are other things that people will agree on. If there are other legislative issues like the DREAM Act that just was signed recently, you'll find movement on some things. I mean, it's not to the Democrats' advantage to have nothing happen in the state of New Jersey until Chris Christie's second term is over.
Alfred Doblin with the Record. Again, many thanks and great job both to you and everybody behind you.
Thank you very much.
All right, Andrew, thank you very much. And for more, let's bring in our panel tonight. We bring in, obviously, we got Dominic Carter and Andrew Whitman, who you guys know already, and we're very pleased to be joined by New York Assemblywoman Shelley Mayer, a frequent guest of the program, Democrat who represents the city of Yonkers. And I know what these two guys think, and we're on the same page where this thing is far from over. More could come out, both through the actual investigative hearings that are happening, as well as also, you know, the court cases. Now the feds are involved. Also, I think this document dump, maybe nothing's come out yet, but if there is a pattern, I think that's the big worry. You've seen people be brought down, yes. You've had a front row seat in Albany. What do you think right now Christie's most worried about? The 3 people that were let go who have no reason to bite their lip anymore? Is it more emails that might surface? What do you think the big concern for this administration is tonight?
Well, I think he's definitely got to be concerned about those people, because, and particularly someone he fired without ever having spoken to, because he doesn't know what she's about to say. And she has less incentive than anyone to be kindly to someone who fires her without giving her, frankly, the courtesy of saying what happened. And all these months have transpired where he, it seems to me, purposely didn't call her because he didn't want to know what she had to say. But now he just called her a liar 3 times on television. She, you know, supporting 4 kids on this salary, obviously a political junkie, made her whole life in this business. She doesn't want to see her reputation get trashed. I mean, she has her own style going. And so I think he needs to be worried about the 3 people, worried about the documents. You can redact the documents and you can have another set. There's a long time to go here between these investigations requiring testimony. This assembly committee is going to push and push and push until they get answers. And I think there's a lot more to be said, and he's at grave risk.
Okay, we're going to get into a lot tonight, but I have one more question before we go to break, and that is, listen, there's always political payback if you cross. Republican, Democrat, doesn't matter when you have position of authority, but this, at least to many of us, seemed, if not unprecedented, the most petty kind that I've seen. Now, you've been there where, hey, you vote, you cross me on this one, I'm not going to forget it. Obviously, you hear that. You be around any state capital, you're going to hear that. But are even you shocked to the depths of this?
Yes, because what I said is take away 5 of his nominees. Take away $2 million that he might have been allocated for some capital project. That's the kind of things I've seen in the past as payback. Never an intentional act that hurts other innocent people in such a blatant way. And I think most ordinary voters, even if they voted for Christie, say, wait a minute, this crosses the line. unacceptable.
And the big thing he said was, everybody, this is the exception, not the norm. That is what the test is going to be. Not just what they find on the GW, but if they find other examples where he has penalized and punished people because of political payback, they're going to play that soundbite. Trust me, this is the exception, not the norm, that the governor said yesterday repeatedly in that 108-minute press conference versus, well, let's see what he's done in the 4 years to now. So that's the standard. When we come back from the break here, we're going to be talking about the culture. How much of this rests on the culture this governor created and about a staff and aides here that seemed to at least be on the same page with it. We'll be right back with more on that after this.